You're standing on a beach, looking out at the endless ocean, waves crashing, water stretching to the horizon. You're thirsty, desperately thirsty, but you can't drink it because it's salt water. One sip and you'd get even more dehydrated. Your body would actually use up its own fresh water just to process all that salt. It's one of life's cruelest ironies. You're surrounded by water and still dying of thirst. Now imagine something different. Imagine walking up to that same ocean, bending down, scooping up a handful of water and drinking it. Fresh, clean, pure. No salt, no processing. No desalination plants. Just endless drinkable water covering 71% of the planet. Sounds incredible, right? Like we'd solve the global water crisis overnight. Well, not exactly. Right now, millions of people walk hours every day just to find clean drinking water. Meanwhile, 71% of our planet is covered in water. But here's the cruel irony. 97% of it is salt water, completely undrinkable. So what if we could solve that problem? What if all the ocean water suddenly became fresh water? An endless supply for everyone. No more water shortages, no more droughts, paradise on Earth. Except it would actually be the end of the world. This is the Earth, and today we're diving into what would happen if all ocean water became fresh water. And I promise you, the answer is way more terrifying than you think. Let's find out why.
Before we drain the salt from our seas, we need to understand, why is the ocean salty in the first place? Here's something that might surprise you. The ocean wasn't always salty. About 3.8 billion years ago, when Earth's surface finally cooled down enough for water vapor to condense into liquid, the oceans were actually fresh water. Pure H2O, no salt included. So what changed? Every time it rains, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere dissolves into those falling droplets. This makes rainwater slightly acidic. When this acidic rain hits rocks and soil, it causes them to erode, releasing minerals and salts. These minerals get carried by the rain into streams, then rivers, and eventually, the ocean. But that's not all. Underwater volcanoes and hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor also pump out additional minerals and salts directly into the water. Now here's the kicker. This process has been happening continuously for nearly 4 billion years. The result? Our oceans contain roughly 50 quadrillion tons of salt. That's enough salt to cover every piece of land on Earth in a layer 500 feet tall. So now, let's imagine it. Overnight, all that salt just vanishes. The ocean is now pure, fresh water. What happens first? Mass extinction. Scientists estimate there are between 700,000 to 1 million known species living in our oceans, with possibly 2 million more yet to be discovered. If the ocean suddenly became fresh water, we'd lose almost all of them. Here's why. Saltwater fish and ocean creatures have spent millions of years evolving specifically to survive in salty conditions. Their bodies are designed to drink salt water and then pump out the excess salt through specialized organs. Some fish use their gills, others use special cells in their kidneys. But the key point is this: they need that salt to regulate their internal systems. There are a few exceptions. Salmon, for example, can survive in both fresh and salt water. But they're rare. For the vast majority of ocean life, from the tiniest plankton to the largest blue whale, a freshwater ocean would be a death sentence. Their cells would absorb too much water, swell up, and eventually burst. Within days, the ocean would become a graveyard. But the nightmare doesn't stop with dead fish. Those tiny organisms we just mentioned, the plankton and algae, they're not just food for larger creatures. They're actually responsible for something much more important: photosynthesis. You probably learned in school that trees and plants produce oxygen by converting carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. But here's what they don't always teach you. Marine algae and phytoplankton produce roughly 50% of all the oxygen on Earth. That's right. Half of every breath you take comes from the ocean. Without these microscopic organisms, we'd lose half our oxygen supply almost immediately. At the same time, we'd have way more carbon dioxide building up in the atmosphere because there'd be nothing to absorb it. More CO2 means a stronger greenhouse effect. Temperatures would start rising rapidly. Some parts of the world, with ocean currents collapsing and temperatures going haywire, our weather patterns would go completely insane. Hurricanes would become more frequent and more devastating. Without the regulating influence of saltwater currents, tropical storms would have free rein to intensify. Rainfall patterns would shift dramatically. Some areas that used to get regular rain would become deserts. Others would face constant flooding. Coastal cities, which are home to billions of people, would face the double threat of rising seas from melting ice caps and more intense storm surges. Agriculture, which depends on predictable weather patterns, would collapse in most regions. Entire ecosystems on land would fail as temperatures and rainfall patterns shift beyond what plants and animals can adapt to. Let's follow the domino effect. First, marine algae dies. This eliminates the food source for zooplankton. Zooplankton dies, which eliminates food for small fish. Small fish die, which eliminates food for larger fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. But it doesn't stop at the ocean's edge. Billions of people depend on seafood as their primary source of protein. With all ocean life gone, that food source vanishes overnight. On land, with half our oxygen gone and CO2 levels spiking, plant life would struggle. Crops would fail in many regions due to extreme temperatures and unpredictable weather. The animals that depend on those plants would starve. And then the predators that eat those animals would starve. The entire global food chain, from the ocean to your dinner table, would collapse. Humans would face mass starvation on a scale never seen before.
So, could we survive if all ocean water became fresh water? Probably not. Between oxygen loss, climate chaos, and collapsing food chains, human civilization would be gone within weeks. Earth would become a frozen wasteland at the poles and a scorching desert at the equator. Turns out, ocean salt isn't just seasoning. It's the foundation of all life on Earth. And that's something we should never take with a grain of salt. Thanks for watching The Earth. If you want more mind-blowing scenarios, subscribe and drop your wildest what-if ideas in the comments below.